invite here on our stage my friend Gabriel Saragovia from Rio Perdido Hotel and Thermal River in Costa Rica, where I had the privilege not only to visit after remote 2018 in Costa Rica, but also to have Gabriel himself as my host. So the topic of his presentation is how we set out to preserve a long-lost jewel we came across. Gabriel, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Marcelo, it's always nice to see you, and I've had the opportunity to see you quite a bit lately compared to before. So I hope that we keep that up. And I see that Ligia is here. Very nice.
Yes, great to see you too. Yes.
Okay, good. So yeah, it's wonderful to be here. I am Gabo, for those of you that don't know me. And I have the privilege today to tell you a little bit about a special place. I'm going to share my screen, if that's okay for you. Let me see. Go ahead, and you share it for me. All right, so basically to say that this project and this experience is unique is a gross understatement. Marcelo, this has been the work of, let's go to the first screen. So this has been the work of hundreds of people that are dedicated and talented. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. We can go to the next one. If you look in the location within the map, Rio Perdido looks quite centralized, but the truth is that Rio Perdido is completely hidden, had been completely hidden from the world for hundreds of years. And we know this because we found artifacts on the ground, and we took them to the National Museum and to the local archaeologists, and they said that, you know, the Nahuatls, several Nahuatl tribes have been here over time. So we know that these descendants of the Mayas had been using possibly this river, most probably the river, and taking advantage of its, you know, medicinal qualities. So we were lucky enough to have discovered it again recently. If you want to go to the next one, I will explain that this is the Cordillera Volcánica de Guanacaste, the Sierra of Guanacaste, volcanic Sierra. And most people don't know it. And very few tourists and visitors have been up here. But this is, for me, not one of my favorite parts of Costa Rica. It's one of my favorite parts of the world. And as I get to know it more and more, which I do, it becomes apparent that it is absolutely and completely one of a kind. So we are all born with certain innate instincts. And along the way, a lot of us inhibit those instincts, but at least in my case, I was fortunate enough to retain one of these, which is the sense of adventure. And that led us, Marcelo, to find, if you want to go to the next one, we found this place that was in the skirts of the Miravalles volcano, cradled by another four active volcanoes, including the Rincón de la Vieja, which just had a huge eruption. And I found this amazing place with these deep, narrow canyons, and of course the thermal river, which is something that anybody that has been there knows how special it is, but so much more. There's at every corner, at every nook, you find something completely spectacular. So, you know, if you go to the next frame, we immediately got together a group of family and friends and figured out very quickly that we needed to be able to bring people, conscious-minded people, here to have the experience that we were having it, but with a little bit more comfort, because for us to have arrived there at the very beginning, about 12 years ago, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, but it was certainly worthwhile. We had this river that, you know, scientists from around the world, from Costa Rica, from Germany, from Japan, from the United States, have all said that you have this medicinal grade, thermal, highly mineralized water springing right inside the property and flowing into this amazing river. How could we bring people to see this? If you want to go on to the next frame. How could we bring people to have this experience that we were having in a way that you wouldn't see at a national park, because a lot of people like you guys, travel professionals, fellow adventurers, you come here and you have the same thought. You said, how is this in the hands of private owners? How is this not a national park or something, you know, adjacent to a park that is controlled by, you know, private interests or public interests? And we were lucky enough to have this landing on us. So we immediately took it upon us. We said, this is certainly a message from the Pachamama, from whatever you want to call it, that we had to protect this, that we had to be stewards to this amazing place. And to this day, when we have a whole, you know, project operating, you can walk down through this amazing river trail, which is part of the whole segment, and be in your own private natural thermal river segment, which in and of itself is amazing. You want to go to the next one. Now, like I said, when we first arrived here, it was really difficult to descend into this 150-foot deep canyon. Today, that's obviously changed, and pretty much anybody can go down and enjoy it. But of course, we focus on having like-minded, conscious-minded individuals come and really, you know, click with this amazingly beautiful place. We can go on. And indeed, you can explore the 600 acres. I mean, again, as I mentioned, most of us do lose at least a little bit of that sense of adventure. And to have a place that serves as a tool to unlock that sense of adventure, whether you are a small child or a person into their 80s or 90s, which is something that happens often here. We get people with you know, a cool mindset come and visit us and have their own adventure. It doesn't have to be rappelling or ziplining or mountain biking. They have their own adventure. We can go to the next one. So yeah, we took it upon ourselves to do the best possible experience you can have in all kinds of adventure, because people can have their own adventure tailored in the forest on their own without any of our digital guides or personal guides, or you can do one of our signature adventures, which is something that we really tailored according to the land. Yeah. This slide shows you that it's really not just about adrenaline. It's also about the place, the setting. I mentioned that this setting is absolutely unique. And, you know, what if you can combine that adrenaline junkie's dream with being in a gorgeous place and seeing it from the view of a bird? That's what we thought about. You can go to the next one. So as we got to know the property and the place and the area around it, we realized, by the way, all the images that you're seeing are within the property. But the whole area has this very unique topography and geology. And anybody that knows me here knows how much I love biking here. You know, Marcelo, if you go to the next slide, you'll see that, I mean, the trails really have nothing to envy from the top destinations of the world, whether they're Moab or Sedona or Crested Butte or even the Swiss Alps. The riding that you're going to do here, and a lot of our friends from remote have corroborated this, is absolutely top notch. You can go to the next one. So yeah, as you get to know the property more and more, you see that, hey, we have this thermal river going through the center of the property. It's absolutely unique. But on the west side of the property, we have this other river that is a cold water river. You can go to the next one. And turns out that it is also absolutely unique. It's not hot, but it is highly mineralized. So you're actually tubing at the bottom of this rock canyon of monolithic rock on this amazing water in this place. And there are parts, I really don't like to spoil the surprise for a lot of people, but there are these spouts on the rock walls that shoot out hot water at you. I mean, it's crazy to be in a cold river. Well, nothing in Costa Rica is actually cold. But let's say a freshwater river that's beautiful temperature. And then all of a sudden you have this hot water pour on you, kind of like a small, tiny little cascade on top of your head. You can go to the next one. So over time, we started to, afford the project some more tailored adventure experiences. So a lot of people may not be into yoga, but the idea is that if you are, you're going to have the best yoga experience you've ever had, ideally. We are very serious about having the wellness experience be something for everybody. Whether or not yoga or mountain biking is your thing, the idea, and you can go to the next one, is that anybody coming to visit us is going to have an amazing wellness experience. You don't have to be seeking wellness, and this is something I tell a lot of people. We call it passive wellness. That no matter what you're looking for in your vacation, when you're done with a stay here, a few days here, you're going to feel better, period. You can go to the next. And we do the same type of things that a lot of other destinations do. But again, we wanted to really keep it simple, but keep it excellent and ensure that people are getting the most out of the setting. And of course, that brings into play the people. And we've been so lucky because Bagaces is not a tourist spot. And again, as I mentioned to a lot of you, we've had the privilege and I think the foresight of all of us thinking, hey, let's hire locally. Even if they're not experienced in tourism, we'll train them. And we've done kind of like our own Rio Perdido University, and we have awesome people working for us. We can keep going here. Just to the next one, I think we can go. So the people are absolutely essential. The combination of having that kind of a connection with healthy people from the area that were raised in an awesome family environment, because Bagaces is beautiful with the whole family unity. And then you have, of course, a high level of education, which is typical of Costa Rica, but even more typical here in Bagaces. There's some very good schools, and just in general, having the heart, the will to be a part of this and to provide for guests, for visitors. Our pools, just to get into this a little bit, people ask us to say, you guys are pumping water from the river? And we tell them, no, the river is sacred. We don't touch the river. The hot river is sacred. We are actually working here with 3 deep wells of different temperatures, ranging from cold to warm to hot. And that's how we play with our pools. We have 3 pools here in the main area, and they're all absolutely spectacular and most definitely medicinal. We can keep going. And people have that health wellness experience. Keep going. What is more important than the fuel? The food that we consume that keeps us going. Local, fresh, ideally always organic. Next one, we'll show you a little bit about that. We also pay tribute and respect to the original Guanacaste ingredients and recipes, the cuisine from there. We obviously take some freedoms with it, but the idea is, how can we take what is of the area and bring it to Rio Perdido specifically? We do go very local. Marcelo, we can go on. And of course, the building, the development. How do we make places that when you're inside your bungalow, you are comfortable, you're separated from what could be a very wild place, you're protected from that, but at the same time, you're very much a part of it. We can keep going. And these are the original bungalows. Keep going to the next one. Just 2 years ago, we inaugurated almost 3 years ago, we inaugurated our second phase, which are an additional 10 center bungalows. We really brought nature inside to the room. And we do a lot of things with the design that took us a long time to. I'll get into that with any of you that want to ask me at a later time. I'm always happy to talk about our 2 years of development for these conceptualization for these rooms. Can keep going. The devil is in the details, right? So having the right details, very important. And it all is part of the wellness. It's not just about being pretty or different or using local ingredients or local materials, but it's also about serving a function. Next slide. And what is more important that we know today than the social aspect you know, for proper wellness. You cannot be well if you don't have social ties, good, positive social ties. Keep going. So Marcelo and Lidia, we've been so lucky to be able to really focus the last few years on making all that happen, on how to make those moments that you have with loved ones, with partners, with friends, in groups. How do you make those moments more intimate? How do you really get the setting to work for you, the people to work for you, and bring everything together? Next. And, you know, and it works. You are in nature. You are exploring. You are getting in touch with your inner child. It's so beautiful to see every day when I'm there, which is pretty often, to see people of all types from all different places really connecting to each other, to the locals, to the people that work for us, and to the land. Next. We can keep going. And of course, you know, these are the locals. There's nothing more local than this. So it's not just about the people. It's so important to think about what we've done for the wildlife there. Let's go to the next slide. We are so proud to tell you that there's no doubt to us or to anybody that knows us well, that there's more presence of wild fauna today than prior to development. And this goes for birds, mammals, reptiles, insects, and crazy, weird, amazing of each. You know, you see just species that are not that common. Well, the ones here are pretty common, but we get a little bit of everything. We get kinkajous, and we get anteaters, and we get just very beautiful snakes that are not poisonous. Some people get scared. But it's all part of the experience, and it's breathtaking. It's like being in an outside zoo where everything is in its natural habitat, not in cages. So let's go to the next frame. Architecture, zero land movement. How do we do something that doesn't mess with nature, that keeps geology and topography in its original state, that keeps the hydrology intact? And we've done it. And you can keep going, Marcelo. Our architecture has paid off. We can see it every day. Also by cooling. I mean, you're at 200 meters above sea level in Guanacaste, and you don't feel warm. The weather is absolute. Well, if you go biking at noon out in the mountains, yes. But if you're in the structures, you feel great. And that's a part of it. I think architecture is definitely a part of comprehensive wellness and protecting the area, being true and just to an amazing setting. Next, please.
Gabriel, just to let you know, I have a little bit more than 1 minute to go.
So we can go to the next one. This is the last frame, Marcelo, and I just wanted to tell you that I have a group of adventurers, friends that we're like-minded. We enjoy very much getting lost everywhere, and especially in Costa Rica. And it's so cool that each time that each one of those persons has come to Rio Perdido for the first time, I don't know if that makes sense, but the first time that these people have come to Rio Perdido, they have all said to me the same thing. This is exotic to me. So when a Costa Rican tells you that this is exotic to them, you know that you're in a special place. These Costa Ricans that are, you know, they're everywhere. They're getting lost as much as me, or, you know, the serious adventurers are doing. So that is a source of pride for us, that we're able to really steward and protect this amazing place. So I don't know if we have time for questions and answers. I guess not.
I wanted to ask you something regarding that new development you started mentioning about, if there is like any changes from the original project or developments to this new one, because it's like some years in between them. So I believe you have made some changes, or how was it?
For sure. I mean, we learn every day. Ligia, you know me, and you know that I am not only, I've been flung into the world of hospitality and hotel development, and it has become a passion stemming from the sense of adventure. But academically, you know that I'm a scientist, specializing in the biological sciences, but I'm also an artist in many media. I've studied this my whole life. I have, degrees in art. And, we've been able to apply a lot of that, a lot of science and a lot of art in this. And of course, over time, we optimize that. We're able to express ourselves better with the materials, with the people we work with that are awesome. I mean, we really have an amazing group of designers and architects that support us. And we're getting ready for phase 3. It's going to be a small addition, just a few units, but we're going to do them for a very conscious traveler as well. And of course, Lydia, this is not my first project. I have fortunately been able to develop and make a lot of mistakes growing up, developing. And around, members of my family, like my father, who's been a developer forever, for as long as I can remember. So we're applying everything that we've learned over not the years, but the decades to make this truly special and to make it, perfect for the setting.
That's very nice. Thank you, Gabriel. I hope we'll hear more news about the next phases soon.
You will, you shall.
Thank you very much, Gabriel. It made me miss the great times, the great days I spent at Rio Perdido. It's an amazing place. I recommend everyone to have the chance to go visit there.